Chapter 5. What about Professor Veridium?
With the trio, now armed with the device to recreate the tracker, hurriedly made their way back home. The urgency of the situation weighed heavily on them, but Lorenzo couldn't help but comment on the absurdity of the encounter at the device-changing shop.
Did you see the look on that worker's face when Alex dropped the Mr. Know-Everything bomb?
Lorenzo chuckled, shaking his head.
I bet he's still trying to wrap his mind around how a kid could know so much.
Alex added with a smirk. Back at the mansion, they gathered around the table, the device placed in front of them like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Alex, the self-proclaimed Mr. Know-Everything, took the lead, examining the device with a determined expression.
Okay, team, we've got one shot at this. Lorenzo, pass me the manual, and Jonathan, stop looking so worried, we're on a mission here.
Alex announced with theatrical flair. Lorenzo rolled his eyes playfully.
And here comes Mr. Know-Everything with his grand plan.
Exactly. Now, let's get to work. Lorenzo, read the instructions carefully, and Jonathan, hand me that mini screwdriver. This is a job for the experts.
Alex declared, adopting a faux serious tone. As they delved into the intricate process of recreating the tracker, their banter and laughter filled the room. Alex couldn't resist making fun of Lorenzo's occasional misinterpretation of the manual, leading to hilarious missteps in their DIY mission.
Are you sure that's the right wire, Lorenzo? I mean, I don't want us accidentally turning Jonathan's phone into a toaster.
Alex teased, earning an eye roll from Lorenzo. Meanwhile, Jonathan, who had been silently seeing the banter, couldn't help but crack a smile. The absurdity of their situation and the camaraderie they shared turned what could have been a tense moment into a light-hearted adventure. After what felt like an eternity of tinkering, the trio finally succeeded in recreating the tracker. Alex held the device triumphantly, a sense of accomplishment lighting up his face.
We did it, team! Now, let's find Jonathan and save the city!
Alex exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. As they prepared to embark on their quest, Lorenzo couldn't resist one last quip.
Who would have thought that Mr. Know-Everything and his sidekicks would be the city's last hope?
With a shared laugh, they set out, the device in hand, ready to face the challenges that awaited them in the quest to rescue Jonathan and thwart Professor Veridium's destructive plans. The trio's journey continued, fueled by a mix of determination, humor, and the unshakable bond they had formed in the face of the extraordinary. As Alex, Lorenzo, and Jonathan stared at the newly recreated tracker, a sense of determination filled the room. With their DIY skills put to the test, they embarked on a mission that would decide the fate of not only Jonathan but also the city itself. Amid the laughter and banter, the trio fine-tuned the device, making sure it was ready for the crucial task ahead. Lorenzo couldn't resist another playful jab at Alex's Mr. Know-Everything persona.
Are you sure this thing will work, Mr. Know-Everything, or are we just adding a sparkly accessory to Jonathan's phone?
Lorenzo teased. Alex shot back with a confident grin.
Oh, ye of little faith. This isn't just an accessory, it's the key to rescuing Jonathan and stopping Professor Veridium. Now, let's get this show on the road.
With the device in hand, they ventured out into the night, guided by the tracker's signals. The city's streets became their playground as they followed the blinking lights on the gadget, each step taking them closer to their mission's climax. Along the way, they met unexpected challenges: a stray cat that seemed oddly attracted to the tracker, a malfunction that made the device emit comical beeping noises, and Lorenzo's attempt at creating a superhero-themed song for their mission.
Here come the super siblings and Mr. Know-Everything. Saving the day, one tracker at a time.
Lorenzo sang, his voice echoing through the empty streets. As they approached the location showed by the tracker, a sense of urgency filled the air. The trio found themselves in front of an abandoned warehouse, its ominous silhouette contrasting with the glow of the tracker in their hands. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Jonathan's muffled voice echoed from within, and the trio exchanged determined glances.
Time to rescue our annoying but lovable twin,
Alex declared, taking the lead. As they stepped into the unknown, their adventure took an unexpected turn, setting the stage for the next chapter in their quest to thwart Professor Veridium's plans and save the city. The super siblings and Mr. Know Everything pressed on, undeterred by the challenges that lay ahead. The epic showdown between the super siblings, Mr. Know Everything, and Professor Veridium was nothing short of a magical circus. As they entered the secret chamber, the trio was greeted by Veridium's dramatic monologue, which sounded suspiciously like it was lifted from a cheesy villain handbook.
Welcome to the endgame, my young adversaries.
Veridium cackled, twirling his mustacho in true villain fashion.
You may have thwarted my lesser plans, but now you face the ultimate challenge.
Lorenzo, never one to miss a beat, quipped.
Is the challenge listening to your monologues? Because that's pretty tough, not gonna lie.
Alex, meanwhile, was busy analyzing the room, trying to find a weakness in Veridium's setup.
Guys, focus. We need to find a way to disrupt his magic,
He whispered, his eyes scanning the room.
And Lorenzo, maybe less commentary on the villain's fashion choices.
Jonathan, tied up in the corner but still part of the action, shouted.
Hey, Veridium. Did you get your evil lair decorating tips from Villains R Us?
Veridium cackled, twirling his mustacho in true villain fashion.
You may have thwarted my lesser plans, but now you face the ultimate challenge.
Lorenzo, never one to miss a beat, quipped.
Is the challenge listening to your monologues? Because that's pretty tough, not gonna lie.
Alex, meanwhile, was busy analyzing the room, trying to find a weakness in Veridium's setup.
Guys, focus. We need to find a way to disrupt his magic,
He whispered, his eyes scanning the room.
And Lorenzo, maybe less commentary on the villain's fashion choices.
Jonathan, tied up in the corner but still part of the action, shouted.
Hey, Veridium. Did you get your evil lair decorating tips from Villains R Us?
Veridium, visibly irritated by their lack of fear and constant banter, unleashed a wave of magical energy towards them. The trio, however, was more agile than he anticipated. They dodged his attacks with a series of comedic rolls and dives, each more exaggerated than the last.
Wow, Alex, I didn't know you were a gymnast.
Lorenzo exclaimed as Alex performed an unnecessary but impressive somersault.
Shh, I'm trying to focus here,
Alex replied, barely keeping a straight face. In the midst of the chaos, the tracker began to beep erratically, its lights flashing like a disco ball. Lorenzo, ever the improviser, started dancing to the rhythm of the beeps. It's the tracker dance! It's all the rage! As the battle raged on, Jonathan, still tied up, managed to wriggle his way over to a pile of ancient artifacts. With a swift kick, he sent a dusty old vase flying towards Veridium, hitting him square in the head.
Score 1 for the captive audience.
He cheered. Veridium, now thoroughly disoriented, stumbled around, his spells misfiring left and right. One spell turned a broom into a dancing partner, which he awkwardly waltzed with, much to the amusement of the trio. Alex, seizing the opportunity, lunged towards the device controlling Veridium's magic. With a swift flick of the wrist, he deactivated it, causing the magical energy in the room to dissipate. As the magic faded, Veridium's lair transformed back into an ordinary warehouse, and the once menacing villain was reduced to a grumpy old man muttering about. Pesky kids! The trio untied Jonathan, who immediately joined in the celebration.
We did it. We saved the city and shut down the bad guys' evil dance party.
Lorenzo, still grooving to the non-existent beat, declared. As they left the warehouse, the trio couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of their adventure. They had faced a powerful villain, dodged magical attacks, and ultimately triumphed with their unique blend of humor, bravery, and friendship. Back home, they recounted their tale to an amused and slightly bewildered Jeffrey B., who couldn't believe the wild turn of events.
You kids are something else. Just make sure your next adventure is a little less magical.
As they settled in for the night, the trio knew that their lives would never be dull. With their courage, wit, and unbreakable bond, they were ready for whatever zany adventures awaited them next. And somewhere in the city, a grumpy Professor Veridium plotted his revenge, unaware that he had just faced the most formidable and hilarious adversaries he would ever encounter. With the city safe and Veridium's magical menaces neutralized, the trio, Alex, Lorenzo, and Jonathan, along with Jonathan's dad, Jeffrey B., found themselves enjoying a newfound sense of celebrity in their small town. Word of their hilarious heroics had spread like wildfire, and they were now local legends, the Super Siblings and Mr. Know Everything, the defenders of the city, and occasional dance enthusiasts. One sunny afternoon, the trio decided to take a leisurely stroll through town, only to find that their recent escapade had inspired a rather peculiar trend among the townsfolk. To their amusement, several neighbors had started wearing makeshift capes and performing random acts of kindness, all while attempting, and often failing, at superhero landings. As they walked past the local bakery, they saw Mrs. Parker, the septuagenarian baker, trying to leap off a small step while handing out free muffins to passers-by.
For justice and blueberry muffins,
she declared, nearly losing her balance.
Looks like we've started a superhero craze, guys.
Lorenzo chuckled, helping Mrs. Parker steady herself. Alex, always the more serious one, added,
Well, as long as they're careful. We don't need any real rescuing to do.
Meanwhile, Jonathan spotted a group of kids playing Super Siblings, each arguing over who got to be Mr. Know Everything.
I'm Mr. Know Everything because I can name all the dinosaurs,
one girl boasted.
No, I'm Mr. Know Everything because I can do math,
another retorted. Jonathan, unable to resist, joined the kids.
Actually, I'm the real Mr. Know Everything, and I say you can all be Mr. Know Everything.
The kids erupted into cheers, swarming Jonathan for an impromptu superhero training session. Lorenzo and Alex watched, amused and proud of their brother's natural charisma. As the day went on, the trio encountered more hilarious displays of heroism. From teenagers trying to clean up the park with dramatic flair to a local gym instructor offering superhero workout classes, complete with sound effects, the town was buzzing with a newfound energy. Back at the mansion, as they relaxed in their living room, Jeffrey B. couldn't help but laugh at the town's antics.
You three have really made an impact. Who would have thought that defeating a magical villain would turn our town into a superhero hub?
The trio exchanged glances and burst into laughter, realizing the absurdity of their situation. Their adventure had not only saved the city but had also brought a sense of fun and unity to their community. That evening, as they sat down for dinner, they began to plan their next move. With their newfound fame, they knew they had the potential to do better for their town.
How about a superhero-themed charity event?
Lorenzo suggested.
We could raise funds for the local animal shelter or the library. Or a superhero parade. We could invite everyone to show off their homemade capes and costumes.
Jonathan added excitedly. Alex, mulling over the ideas, finally nodded in agreement.
Let's do both. A parade that leads to a charity event. It'll be fun and for a good cause.
As they discussed their plans, they realized that their journey as the Super Siblings and Mr. Know Everything was just beginning. With each other's support and the love of their quirky town, they were ready to embark on new adventures, spreading laughter, kindness, and a little bit of superhero magic wherever they went. And so, under the starry night sky, the trio looked out of their window, their hearts full of excitement for the future. Their town, once just a dot on the map, had become a place of joy and adventure, all thanks to three brothers and their extraordinary journey. As the trio of Alex, Lorenzo, and Jonathan made their way back home from their stroll through the town, their usual light-hearted banter took a turn towards the absurd. The walk, which was usually a short and pleasant journey, suddenly seemed to stretch on forever, thanks to the wild imaginations of Alex and Jonathan.
I swear, this road has grown longer since we last walked it,
grumbled Alex, exaggerating each step as if he were trekking through a desert.
It feels like we've been walking for hours. Are we sure we didn't accidentally start a marathon?
Jonathan, never one to be outdone in the realm of dramatics, chimed in.
You're right, Alex. In fact, I think we might be on a different continent by now. I wouldn't be surprised if we suddenly see a sign welcoming us to Timbuktu.
Lorenzo rolled his eyes at his brother's antics.
You two would argue about whether the sky is blue if given half a chance.
As they discussed their plans, they realized that their journey as the super siblings and Mr. No Everything was just beginning. With each other's support and the love of their quirky town, they were ready to embark on new adventures, spreading laughter, kindness, and a little bit of superhero magic wherever they went.
You two would argue about whether the sky is blue if given half a chance,
he said, trying to hide his amusement. Alex, determined to maintain his exaggerated state of despair, collapsed dramatically onto a nearby bench.
I can't go on,
he declared, his hand dramatically on his forehead.
The journey is too much. Tell our story, Lorenzo. Tell the world of our epic trek, back to the mansion.
Jonathan, not to be outshone in the theatrics department, joined Alex on the bench, mimicking his melodramatic pose.
Yes, remember us as we were, valiantly trying to make it home against all odds. Future generations will sing songs of our bravery.
Lorenzo couldn't help but laugh at their over-the-top performance.
Oh, the humanity. How will you ever survive the 10-minute walk back home?
He teased. Just then, a neighbor walking her dog passed by and glanced at the scene with a mixture of confusion and amusement.
Everything all right, boys?
She asked, trying to figure out if the situation was serious. Alex, seizing the opportunity for more drama, responded with a weak voice.
We're just trying to make it back home, but the journey is long and treacherous. We may not make it.
The neighbor chuckled, patting her dog's head.
Well, you're almost there. Just a few more steps to go. You can do it.
Revived by the neighbor's encouragement, Alex and Jonathan stood up, suddenly full of energy.
We can see the light at the end of the tunnel,
Jonathan exclaimed, pointing towards their mansion, which was now in clear view. Alex added,
Our heroic journey is nearly at an end. Let it be known that we braved the longest road in history and lived to tell the tale.
I think the only tale here is the tall one you two are telling.
As they finally reached their mansion, the trio laughed at their own silliness, the argument forgotten in their amusement. Their exaggerated journey home was yet another chapter in the book of their adventures, filled with laughter, sibling rivalry, and a touch of the dramatic.